Hello. Most of you walked in here today. How many of you took any notice of your feet moving beneath you as you did so? I'm guessing it wasn't many. And really, why would you? You just assumed they would do what they've always done. I haven't been able to make that assumption for 5 years now. In 2013, a road traffic accident left me paralysed from the neck down and dependent on a ventilator to breathe. So it seemed that I would never look down at my feet moving beneath me again. I was wrong to think like this. In 2015, I travelled to Rome to walk again. This was using an exoskeleton. As you'll see, an exoskeleton is a sort of wearable robot that can then move your limbs. I've got a video to show you here. This machine was controlled by brainwaves as well. So literally, I thought and it walked, similar to the way that many of you came in here. The technology to do all that was absolutely amazing. It wasn't my biggest takeaway from the experience though. That was the feeling of looking down and seeing my feet move beneath me again. My injury had quite literally changed what assumptions I could make about myself and what space I could expect to see. Challenging the assumptions that we can all make about ourselves is a crucial way we can all find more space. And since being in a wheelchair, I have faced a number of assumptions about me and what I should do. I've been guilty of making a lot of these assumptions myself as well. The first one was that I had to have to be totally dependent on others for absolutely everything. That's a very dark place to be facing life without any independence at all. But the chance encounter of a family friend showed me that I was wrong to think like this. They introduced me to a charity called Special Effect. This charity aims to enable anyone to use technology no matter what their injury. For me, this was through an eye gaze system. An eye gaze system is one that uses a special camera to track your eyes and move the mouse around the screen. From there, a blink is a click. At first, I used this to play games, just simple things like Connect 4 and chess. But I then moved on to using it to keep in touch with friends and family. The independence that gave me was amazing. Especially just before then, I'd had to tell my sister the password to my Facebook account. As I'm sure you'll agree, that was quite dangerous. I use different technology to do my university work now. It's based on voice recognition mainly, but the principle is the same, of challenging the assumption of what someone like me could achieve. Another assumption that I faced was that I would need to be pushed around in a wheelchair and would need flat surfaces wherever I went. That seemed reasonable at the time. I had this chair, so I was at least able to drive myself around indoors. I quickly got bored being stuck inside though, especially as this chair is not very robust at all. I took it for a short spin across some fields and I'd almost burnt out the batteries and motors. So I began to look for a chair that was able to take me outside properly, so through fields, in woods, and even on the beach. I also had ambitions to do a Tough Mudder. This is a 10-mile obstacle course over rough ground. I eventually found a chair that was capable of doing this, but as you can see, it's more like a quad bike than a wheelchair, really. I was also not doing any of that alone. And for me, being part of a team was a huge way of finding space as well. All of that was, again, based on challenging the assumptions about what someone in a wheelchair and with a disability like mine could achieve. But I face other assumptions as well, and these have proved much harder to shift. These are the assumptions that other people make about the sort of space I should occupy. For example, when I was applying to student finance for government support to help me study at university, I was initially turned down. I had not proved I was disabled enough. I think they wanted a full list of all the activities that I can do. And when you're paralysed from the neck down, that list is pretty long, really. I eventually got student finance to agree to my support, but they still sent me a keyboard and mouse. And you can't use your hands, those aren't really much help. Things like that are based on a different way of experiencing space. And obviously, disability has a huge number of different impacts. But in my case, much normal body language is off limits. I can't wave. I can't shake hands. People's first thought is often to talk to the person that I'm with rather than to me. But there are really serious examples of people being told what space they can occupy and quite literally how they can exist. This comes from cuts to disability support of all kinds. Things like this question people's right to occupy any spaces at all. It questions their right to an existence. But it's not just people with disabilities who face others making assumptions about how they should live. Often, these assumptions come across as stereotypes about what a man or woman should be, for example. But there are a huge number of others as well. These are based on age, race, or nationality, to name just a few. Sometimes these assumptions can prove useful, as they can play a huge role in shaping our social interactions, but they can easily become too powerful as well. This happens when we take them on board, let them inside our heads, and let them make decisions for us. We end up living how others think we should do, rather than how we want to. This is very dangerous. So we should challenge these assumptions. And by doing so, we can all find our own space. Challenge the assumptions that others make about you. Challenge the assumptions that you make about others. And, most importantly, challenge the assumptions that you make about yourself. You never know where that will lead. Thank you.